Hey guys, Todd here. Today we're going to install the Gator MT on this 2019 and up body style Chevy Silverado. Now, our truck does not have the multi-flex tailgate, but if you do have the multi-flex tailgate, just refer to your instructions for that part of the install. For this installation, I'll be using 2 Allen wrenches included in our kit, a 1/4 inch and a 3/16. I'll also be using a ratchet with a 7/16 socket and a Phillips head screwdriver. Now make sure you're subscribed to our channel to stay up to date with our latest content. Let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so here we are on the passenger side in the bed of the truck, just behind the cab, just underneath where our front stake hole pocket is. What we're going to do, I've got a bed rug here, so we're going to pull this back. We're going to expose a little bit of a hole. Now, you may have a plug covering up that hole. If you do, go ahead and pop that out. Next, what I'm going to do is take our bracket. Now, this bracket is going to slide into place just like this. The top edge of the bracket needs to be level with the top of the bed cap. And you'll notice that this hole right here lines up with this hole. So what we're going to do in our kit, we're going to have a bolt with flat washer that's going to go through that hole in the bracket. Okay, now I've got the bolt going through the washer and through the hole in the bracket, and I did have to use my ratchet to kind of twist that in there just to get it through. This is a very tight fit. On the back side of that, I'm going to take one of the tangs that are in the kit and go ahead and start threading it onto that bolt as well. Now we're going to go ahead and fit that down into our stake pocket. And once that's in the stake pocket, what we're going to do is start tightening that up with a 7/16 wrench or ratchet. All right, as it starts to get a little bit tight, go ahead and adjust the bracket to where it's level with the bed cap. Make sure it's also pushed as far forward as possible, and we can go ahead and finish tightening it up. All right, in your kit, you're also going to have some butyl caulk strips. Those are going to sit right on top of this area right here and fill in this gap up at the front. So just going to peel that back, pull out the butyl material, and that is tacky, so it's just going to fit right in place, and just make sure you cover up that gap real well. And we're going to repeat this process for the driver's side. All right, next we're going to go ahead and lift our cover and put the canister in place on top of our brackets. Make sure the canister is pushed all the way up against the bulkhead, and also make sure it's centered side to side in the bed of the truck. Okay, now we can go ahead and remove the canister cover from the canister and set that to the side temporarily. So the way we're going to do that is kind of push it forward towards the cab of the truck, and we can just kind of lift it off and set it to the side. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and install our rear clamp bracket. Now, that's going to install next to the rear stake hole pocket, so I'm directly underneath the stake pocket here. Since I've got the bed rug, I'm going to go ahead and peel that back. Here, again, is the hole. Again, if you've got a plug covering out that hole, pop the plug out. This bracket is going to slide right over top of the hole there. And it's going to install very similarly to the front bracket where we've got the tang, and then the bolt with the washer. That bolt with washer goes through the bracket and then into the tang. Once it gets threaded in, we go ahead and drop the tang down into that hole. And then we're going to tighten this up with a 7/16. All right, now what we're going to do just for right now, I'm going to go ahead and get it snugged up into place. And I've got it right underneath the bottom of the bed cap, but this will need to be able to be adjusted back and forth once we line up that rear bracket and that clamp. Okay, next what we need to do is release the latching mechanism from each side of the canister. The way we're going to do that is turn our latch right here to the 10 o'clock position. All right, let's go ahead and attach our rails. Okay, now here is our driver's side rail. You'll notice we've got the silver end that faces towards the cab of the truck, and then also our seal is going to be to the outside of the vehicle. All right, so as we slide that forward, this part of the canister is going to slide into that notch. As we're sliding it forward, we also need to make sure that our canister blanket is sliding into the rail. And we're going to go ahead and slide this all the way up to here. And then go ahead and work this part of the seal underneath the canister seal. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, next you're going to notice that there's a hole in the rail that lines up to a hole in the canister. What we're going to do is take our provided bolt and go through, and then on the opposite side have a cargo nut that the bolt will thread into, and we're going to tighten that down. We're going to do that on both sides. Okay, next what we're going to do, make sure your tailgate is closed while you're doing this part of the step, because you want to make sure that this is flush up against the tailgate at the back of the rail. Next, we need to make sure that our hole on our bracket on the rail is lined up to the bracket we just installed in the truck. So you need to be able to shift that bracket forward and backward to get it lined up. Once it's lined up, we're going to take our shorter Allen bolt with a lock washer and flat washer, go up through the bottom of the bracket, and then get it lined up and get those threads started in there. We're not going to tighten it down all the way just yet. We're just going to get the threads started. Okay, now as we move forward on the rail, we're going to come to an aluminum bracket that's actually bolted to the rail, and it's got a threaded hole at the bottom of it. This is our first bracket location for our clamp. So what we're going to do is take our J-shaped clamp, and we're going to slide it up and line up the hole in the bottom of the clamp to the threaded hole on our bracket. We're going to take our longer Allen head bolts with a lock washer, go up through that hole, set it in place. Once we get them lined up, just attach at the threads right now. We're not going to tighten them up all the way just yet. We're going to move up to our next bracket and do the exact same thing. Okay, once we get all of these loosely installed, make sure you repeat the same process for the rail on the driver's side. Okay, now this is our canister cover. I've already gone ahead and peeled off the protective film. You'll notice on the canister cover we've got a couple of notches, one on each side. That is going to give you the correct spacing to go in between the rails. So you can actually just take the canister cover, set it on top of the rails like so at the tailgate end, and then pull them together, and that will make the rails align properly, at least width-wise. You still want to make sure that they are centered in the bed of the truck. So if it's kicked to one side or the other, make sure you get it nice and centered. But once it is centered, we can go ahead and tighten down our rear clamps. The way we're going to do that is first make sure that the rails are pulled all the way down and seated against the bed caps. And then we can go ahead and tighten down our bracket to the bed with a 7/16 and then use our smaller provided Allen wrench to tighten down the bolt to the bracket. Okay, now that we got the rear clamp tightened up, we can go ahead and tighten up first the front clamp and then the center clamp. We're going to repeat the same thing on the opposite side. The tool that we're going to be using is the provided Allen wrench. It's the larger one in the kit. Okay, next what we're going to do is take the self-tapping screws out of our kit. On each side of the canister, we're going to attach the canister to the bracket. So the bracket that we attached to the bed cap that the canister is sitting on top of is directly underneath. So we're just going to take one of the screws, use a screw gun with a Phillips head attachment, and sit it on top and drill it in. Repeat that on the opposite side. Okay, next what we're going to do is free up our strap. We're just going to go ahead and pull this plastic wing nut off and discard that. Then we can pull the strap off of this stud that's attached to the canister. Once that's free, we can go ahead and pull the latch on the canister, make sure it goes into the rail a little bit. And next we can go ahead and attach our canister guard. So with our canister guard, the round holes are going to go to the top and the oval holes are going to go to the bottom. What we're going to do is take, for each one of the holes, take one of our supplied bolts with a rubber washer on the opposite side. We're going to get all 4 of those lined up on the canister guard first. Should look just like that on both sides. Okay, now we can go ahead and lift our canister guard up, make sure it's on the opposite side of our strap, and we can line up our bolts to the 4 standoffs that are threaded on the canister. Get those started and then tighten down with a Phillips head screwdriver. Repeat the same process on the opposite side. Okay, now we can go ahead and install the drain tubes. Because we've got a bed rug installed, I'm just going to fit the drain tube kind of back into the bed rug so that any kind of runoff water just drips between the liner and the bed of the truck and out that way. If you do not have a bed rug, you will need to make a little hole out the bed of the truck to run out the drain tube. But then just attach the drain tube to the downspout up top. And it's a compression fit, just slide it on. And repeat the same on the opposite side. Okay, now the hardware bag for our canister lid will be taped to the bottom side of the canister lid. So I've already gone ahead and pulled that off, pulled the hardware out. Next, on the inside of the canister, there's a peg that's going to line up to this slot right here. What we're going to do is drop that down on both sides to where it drops down into that slot, and then we can slide it away from the cab, and that will line up this hole with a threaded hole on the inside. Next, what we're going to do is take our rubber washer, fit it over top of our provided screw, line it up to the threaded hole, and then tighten that down with a Phillips head screwdriver. All right, now repeat the same on the opposite side. Well, we went ahead and lubricated the rails and tested the operation, and that concludes the installation. If you found this video helpful, make sure and give us a thumbs up. If you want to know more about the product, check the link in the description below. And as always, if you have any questions, call the experts or visit us online at RealTruck.com.